Hey everybody, welcome to Third Coast Nerds Podcast Episode 1, Humble Beginnings and Technical Difficulties. This is the first podcast, and we're still sorting out this entire experiment, and hopefully down the line, no one ever listens to Episode 1. Hopefully this is just something for us to laugh about internally. I did not check the audio feed from the mixer whenever we recorded this. So the entirety of this was picked up from a microphone built into the laptop that we run Audacity on. There was no point to any of the technology that we invested in, the mics, the mixer, any of that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of room echo. There's a lot of random noises. But oh well, who cares? Whatever. It's history. So this is episode 1. In this episode we discuss kind of round trip from where this entire idea began. We discussed this initially. I got the idea for this back at Comic Palooza 2014, and here we are looking at 60 days until Comic Palooza 2015. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of guests here. We always look forward to these conventions. This one is becoming a big event in Houston and a pretty big event along the Gulf Coast here. So hopefully this is enjoyable to somebody. I don't know. Give us some feedback. Third Coast Nerds Podcast Episode 1. Enjoy, guys.
Comic Palooza, Third Coast Nerds, Houston, 2015. It's kind of serious. Better than Metallica.
Everything is
Alright, I hope you recorded that, because that's the start from now on.
Yep, that's the start. That's the intro. Here we go. So, yeah, Third Coast Nerds Podcast. Here we are, beginning of 2015 again. Looking forward to Comic Palooza. I'm Chad.
I'm Neil.
I'm Kyle.
So, Comic Palooza.
It's coming soon. End of May.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Nice repeat. Guest list is still adding up. Lots of comic people, which you guys have no idea about. Lots of TV people, which I don't know if I should care about.
Not any famous TV people, unfortunately. It's all like the newbies in the industry. There's not too many. It's like a handful.
Yeah.
Last year was like boom.
George Takei just got to start. He's a fresh young face.
Yeah, like I said, handful of the good ones.
Stan Lee's new. Haven't heard of him before.
Linda Blair, out of the blue, just came out of the blue.
Compared to last year, they don't have many.
They don't have many yet.
They had a much bigger release of names last year around this time.
It's March 22nd because no one else listening to this down the line will have any idea what date it is. So today's March 22nd.
Well, it'd be more fun if they didn't know.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 2 months away right now.
Yeah.
Because it's May 22nd.
But I mean, the majority of guests for last year's didn't start stacking up until about maybe 4 or 5 weeks out.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the big differences this year is they picked Gotham as their main show. Last year they did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was slightly more popular. It had some bigger names. Gotham's, not even done with first season yet.
Well, Marvel is a little more interesting because they've announced they're not doing San Diego.
Ah, that's right.
So I'm not sure what they're doing.
That's interesting because the last San Diego Con, they actually did the teaser trailer to the new Avengers coming out.
Yeah, and they had the entire cast there.
So apparently they got pissed off or something. Like, not going back there.
I'm pretty sure they said they weren't coming.
I remember reading something about it.
I didn't. I don't like reading about that con because I don't go and they have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to it's going to be like Burning Man. They're going to have to build their own city.
Pretty much, yeah. Comic Blues has done a pretty good job bringing in some pretty big guys. Best one in Houston so far.
Yeah, James Gunn was quoted as saying that Marvel is going to skip San Diego. So it kind of throws a little question mark on their presence at any other convention.
Yeah, it's going to be doubtful. I mean, if they don't go to the big one, I mean, they could be just swapping to some of the smaller ones, more regional ones, but it's kind of hard not to go.
Because, I mean, the major ones, yeah, I mean, that's the major one that everyone goes to, but it's not really, unless you've got some big reveal, there's not any real big point to spend that kind of money on it.
Well, I mean, they're all pressed for time right now. I mean, you have, 2 movies coming out every year for the next 4 years, I think.
That could be.
So, I mean, they're like...
Plus TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daredevil will be coming out, and I don't know if they're doing any press for any of those things, though.
I haven't heard anything.
Well, they're not doing San Diego Con.
That's for sure. But still, you've got New York, you've got Chicago, possibly Houston, maybe.
Maybe, hopefully.
Probably not Dallas.
For people that aren't here, I'm making this weird face where I have like a slight smile and a questionable look. So
glad we got that on.
Somewhere between a stroke and a seizure.
Yeah. So who are your top people coming from the comic book side of things?
Number one, well, comic book side, I don't know, but number one overall, Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper.
I'm getting a Hell Comes to Frogtown poster signed for damn sure.
Very nice, very nice.
Very, very happy to see that he's coming. It kind of sent me on Hell Comes to Frogtown overload. I was like, I have to find all the things. I was surprised to find it's actually been released on DVD. That was a shocker. Because I went digging for the original VHS. I want the VHS with the sleeve. I want to get the sleeve signed. I want the VHS signed. I want the poster signed. I want everything Hell Comes to Frogtown signed. I don't even know if the rest of the actors are alive from this movie.
You gonna make a shrine?
I'm gonna make a shrine.
Nice.
Even better if I can find someone to actually make the female frog lady suit and just show up by my side while I'm Roddy Piper and I have the metal underpants on. No one else has seen this movie, so everyone else is very confused.
yeah.
Oh wow! I just realized the Soup Nazi is going to be here.
What?
The Soup Nazi?
Larry Thomas, the Soup Nazi from Seinfeld back in the 90s.
He's a Comic Palooza guest?
Yeah.
What is he on that is Comic Palooza kind of related?
Yeah. Nothing whatsoever. I see nothing on the list. Nothing new. I have to pull up his IMDb. I don't know why he's going to be there, but
apparently
I just saw his face.
Apparently he has a website called the realsoupnazi.com. Or no, just realsoupnazi.com. So.
Well, I mean, if you got anything that anybody's going to give you money for, ride it till the wheels fall off, I guess.
True.
But, yeah, I'm comic book guest Stanley. They're going to trot him out there again.
Wonder if Roddy Piper's going to be doing anything with the comic book man.
I hope not. Out of all the panels, like the comic book man was my most. It was painful.
It seemed the most scripted of everything.
Scripted and also half-assed because it's like, yeah, we get it, you're hungover, but you're famous for some reason.
Because they're friends with someone who's famous.
yeah, and then like when you don't show up with the guy that made you famous,
yeah,
and the reason why everyone knows you, then you're just.
See, last year Muse was with them, so at least you almost got the person that made them famous around. But I didn't see him on the list for this year.
Yeah, no, I can't get into those guys.
So I want you to help me do something. I want you to find something from Walker, Texas Ranger, for me to get Piper to sign.
He was on Texas Ranger?
Yes. In his little profile here. He's been on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Walker, Texas Ranger. I want to be that guy in the line with the one thing from Walker, Texas Ranger to get signed by him. The most ridiculous request he's probably going to get.
I'm going to go like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, and I'm just going to have a Sidekicks poster.
Nice. That could be fun.
So I'm seeing on the list that wasn't there last year, which will be something that me and Neil enjoy, is Darren Botsford's coming back. So there'll be a Stargate panel that we can drag Chad to. Try to get him to join in.
I'm willing to do it. I watched Stargate back when nothing else was on TV and I had 5 channels. And I didn't really pay close attention to it. And I was like 14. So I don't really know about it, but I'll go check it out.
What was that? 2 years ago when we went, she had one that had all the pictures. She went to Antarctica to actually like fill that part for the book she wrote for the series.
Yeah.
And it was actually really awesome, like the way that she thought about it. So.
You guys, just for the fact that you kind of know Miltos, that sold me on Game of Thrones, and I would have never given that show a chance had I not met the dude. So we'll see. I guess one random third string cast member. I don't know what ranking they are for Stargate.
Oh, she's actually an author. She writes Stargate novels for the Stargate series.
Yeah.
So,
but she don't know MacGyver.
No. Oh, well, she knows the cast. She's met the cast, but she wasn't involved in the show. So.
She just knows.
But she's local. She's here from Houston. She comes to a lot of the cons. She's the way she attacks her writing. She does insane amount of research, and she wants everything to no plot holes, no no reason for people to start bitching about it. But
so was Stargate based on her book, or did she come?
No, she's in one of the series. She has 2 books out in one of the series for Stargate. So they basically, like, you would have a guest star come in and write an episode. They have a lot of authors that do that for the Stargate franchise books.
No.
So there's not just like you have, 1 or 2 authors that run with the whole 40 book series. Most of them are like, some have 10 to 12, some have 3 to 4, 2 or 3 here and there. So
it's like an Ultraverse kind of thing where she just gets to kind of like do her own thing, or did they actually have continuity?
All her stuff fits in continuity wise. That's why she went. One of the episodes has a guy who comes back to a Stargate buried in Antarctica, and they see a pair of boots just sitting there. And her story is about that guy that came with that pair of boots. Like, it was him and someone else. So she started her storyline there from a random, obscure thing you see in an episode. And that was what one of her books was about. So that's why she was in Antarctica. She wanted to go walk the path he would have walked to come down. And she tied it in with history about, all the little, like, buildings they have that you would walk, in the Antarctic. You'd get so far and they'd have a hut that would have canned food and stuff like that. She followed that same path and basically came up to that's kind of the path he would have come, reverse navigate it to make it down to Egypt or wherever else.
That premise alone sounds pretty wicked.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, the panel that she does is amazing, so I hope she does another one, because just the way she approaches things, you'll be like, I kind of read the book series, and then you'll obviously want to watch the show. So
yeah.
And she'll hang out too. We hung out with her for like 2 hours one day after everything shut down. Just
nice.
It was cool.
Give her questions for the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of ends whenever that stuff comes around. But yeah, well, the Gotham cast will be there. Linda Blair. We'll get some horror stuff. Laurie Holden, if you still care at all about The Walking Dead.
I am still up to date on The Walking Dead. I'm still watching it. This season started out pretty slow for me, where I almost gave up. But it's there now.
I tried hard. I watched like the mid-season break last year after having given it up completely for the beginning of that season. After the whole governor thing ended,
yeah,
I was like, okay,
which time?
Well, what was it, season 3?
Yeah,
I think it was his story arc. I finished that season. It ended so poorly. I didn't even bother. Like, I caught it all. It was on my DVR. I caught it. Like, okay, well, the beginning of season 4. I watched that and I was like, no, I'm still okay with not watching this. And then I got like the mid-season break, how that ended, and whatever cliffhanger they had there. I was like, yep, still sucks. Came back at random points during this year. I'm like, yep, still not worth watching. So I'm okay having given that one up.
It's gotten a little bit better this season. I'm starting to get sick and tired of the comic book versus TV series on pretty much everything these days. I mean, they're different.
Yeah.
The comparisons.
Whatever makes a better story.
Exactly. And things are going to be better when you see them versus when you're imagining them.
Yeah.
In comic books, you have your art. They give you a direction to go, but a lot of it you fill in with your imagination.
Yeah.
And when you're watching something, in 2 or 3D on a TV, you have a little less room for imagination. So they got to fill in those holes, and in most cases they do okay, but
yeah.
That's why I pick one.
That's not the right shape for Jean Grey's hair. I'm like, piss about it some more. God, no one cares.
Exactly.
It's a better story.
But I do like this little neighborhood they found in the recent episode. So things are, Alexandria is where they've hit if you followed the comics, and it's entertaining. There's some drama going on. So of course, and Carol has actually been one of the best characters in the last few episodes, which is a surprise to many.
It's one of they have to lean on somebody to carry it, and there always ends up being like a random character. Like Daryl carried it for a while.
Yeah.
When friggin' Rick was like Coral when he was freaking out, seeing his dead wife everywhere.
Well, in the latest episode, if you're not too concerned with the storyline, see if you can YouTube Carol's talk with this little kid. This little kid walks in on her trying to steal some guns, and she basically told him what she would do to him if he ever told anyone what was going on. And then he wanted cookies because she makes cookies. And he makes her go steal stuff from the pantry to make cookies for the group. So, she really does turn into a badass. It's pretty entertaining. And right now there's so many memes about it. It's been very enjoyable watching her. And the whole time she's doing it, she's wearing these, khaki pants and an old woman's sweater, with the collared shirt and everything, like Stepford Wives almost. It makes it entertaining. So there's a little bit of that, coming in. The whole group's behind a wall now, kind of like they did with the prison, but it's not theirs.
Okay.
So you can see the drama when there's a group of people that are already there. So it's going to come to a head. I think the season's over soon. I really haven't been paying enough attention to how many episodes I've watched.
Well, I mean, it's March. Just about everything's in pretty soon here.
So
they've got that one little last burst after spring break.
Everything wants to stop before Game of Thrones starts, and their ratings go down.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So yeah.
On the comic book side, man, like I wish you guys knew how big some of these guys are. I mean, Stan Lee, of course, he was there last year. Was as memorable as any Stan Lee encounter is going to be.
Congratulations on getting him back again. I mean, way to go.
He's entertaining. I mean, he will hold an audience, and that dude will never retire. Will never retire. I haven't seen he mentioned like 6 projects he was working on last year, but I haven't seen any of those come out. But I haven't paid attention to them.
I haven't either.
True believer, we've got a Mexican superhero coming out. He starts going on his rant about it.
Yeah, in Texas, of course, is where he wants to.
Yeah. It got a big reaction from the crowd.
Yeah, it did.
Well, Houston was probably the right place to talk about it.
Definitely.
Jeff Smith, though. Jeff Smith, he's done a lot, but he's most notable for this series called Bone, which was one of the first big hit independent books that ever came out in comic books. This is back when, late 80s, Marvel was huge. They had the X-Men stuff going through the roof. Transitioning to the early 90s when DC had their Death of Superman and all their multiverse stuff was going crazy, and you didn't have much room for any other publisher. Jeff Smith comes along with Bone and kind of helps kickstart this wave of independent comic books. And even so, to the point where they had a comic book that was a crossover of all the independent books. It was called The Battle for Independence. It was a 2-issue little mini-series arc. And you had just about every independent artist and every independent writer that participated in this book, and Jeff Smith was one of the central figures in this whole thing. But to have a book that started kind of in a lull for comic books, you hadn't really had that groundbreaking. Jim Lee was taking off. All the guys that would end up becoming the Image founders were starting to take off. Sales were going through the roof with Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man and everything else. We heard Rob Liefeld talk about that at one of the cons last year. Sales figures going through the roof, and then all of a sudden this little independent movement starts, and they start gaining traction. And these 2 books, at one time I remember both of these books being worth something like $1,000 a piece.
Oh wow!
Within like a year of them coming out, because they were like extremely low print, and it was the first appearance of a ridiculous number of characters that would later appear in Image and whatever, Valiant, like a bunch of like all these little independent publishers. And that's what kind of kickstarted the independent movement in the early 90s. And so, not just that, he had, aside from Image Comics, which got huge and still sustains to this day, Bone ran for 20 plus years.
Oh wow!
For a kind of a one-off independent publisher.
That's pretty impressive.
Was an extremely consistent book. It was out every month. He had no deadline issues. One of the best little fantasy cartoonish, very impressively solid story. I'd say it's well worth picking up the hardcover for. Just like we did last year with comic books, I'm sure I'm going to convince you guys to end up picking up hardcovers for a lot of this stuff.
Of course.
But it's definitely worth getting him, to sign one of those pieces, because it is one of the things that kicked off the independent movement.
Nice.
So that Peter David, 12 years on the Hulk, kind of defined the Hulk. So he's going to be one of those guys to get. Not to mention, probably one of the signature storylines in Wolverine. He did a lot of Marvel properties, created a lot of things. Something that is going to appeal to you guys, Walt Simonson, Thor. He had probably, pretty close to the same run, many, many years spent on Thor, and kind of defined that character in the 70s.
That's one of my favorite comics.
Yeah.
So one of the few I've actually read. I like the storyline a lot, so I'm going to have to get something there.
Yeah. So those guys are massive. I like the fact that Comicpalooza and kind of Houston in general is able to attract these big, pretty legendary artists and writers, these creators that a lot of people forget. Like right now, it's all about TV and movies, and everyone kind of forgets where it started. To the point where, like, you know, just like we had last year, Comicpalooza, Mike Mignola, creator of Hellboy, no line.
Yeah.
You know, we talked to him for a long time. The same thing with James O'Barr, creator of The Crow. Got to talk to him for a long, long time.
And his panel was not as full as I thought it would be.
Yeah, his panel was quite empty, but it was one of the best, you know, for an hour and a half with the guy. He had some of the best stories about going through that transition from being a comic book creator and having your creation become, you know, a big screen success and have a cult following as a movie, not even knowing that it was based on a comic book.
Yeah, and the sheer passion that he showed just talking about it, like, you can tell that it hasn't faded at all. Like, it continued forever.
Yeah, like, especially, like, you kind of care less about, you know, how Hollywood treats it. Like, you still got your character and it's still yours. Like Mike Mignola, like some of his stories about touring around, like Turkey, I think it was Turkey, with Guillermo del Toro, when they were scouting locations to find shooting locations for Hellboy, and he pretty much just said, he's like, yeah, we just went shopping. He's like, he's touring through, he's like, that location will do. Like, I came here to buy this vase I saw online. Like, and they're in Spain, you know. They just use the studio's money to go, like, tour around and find, like, rare art pieces and stuff like that.
Nice.
That was kind of a cool story, but yeah, I mean, the legends that they attract. I mean, Kevin Eastman coming this year.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, that's my childhood, man. Long before, like, I'll give my mom credit where credit's due. Like, she was an okay mom. Probably, like, before the cartoon series really took off, I think it was, like, still within the first year of the cartoon series, I just liked Ninja Turtles, and we went and bought the comic books at the comic book store. But it was the ultra-violent first comic book series that was, like, you know, kind of on edge with like, the Punisher. You know, you had these, like, murderous turtles running around killing people. And it was great. As a 7-year-old, it was great.
I remember the cartoon on Saturday mornings. My parents were like, no, you're not allowed to watch that. So we tried to get up really early. So we go over there and watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was involved with heavy metal.
Yeah, he's one of the co-owners.
Yeah. He illustrated, co-owner, editor, publisher. Like, he's real big on that one.
He's deep in that, man.
Nice. And those are usually the comics I like. Some of the more off-the-wall ones I like a lot. The IDW does.
Yeah.
And Marvel, they're starting to be a little larger. Actually, you know, you got 50 movies coming out in 3 years between them, so it gets shoved down your face a lot. But,
well, I mean, from bankruptcy to selling off your properties to it's a big. I can't imagine any other company having as big of a resurgence as they've had.
No. Have you seen the picture of Kevin Eastman on the Comicpalooza website? He actually looks a little bit like a turtle. wearing a green shirt with his glasses on. It's kind of funny.
I didn't know that he was an ex-lobster cook from Maine. Things you don't know.
You have to write that one down when we talk to him.
Yeah.
I need a lobster tip. just take him a giant, piece of a lobster. Can I get you sign this?
Well, I mean, if the stories in Ninja Turtles were any indication, he's probably a little sadistic.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to piss him off. Get him good and angry before you drop him in the water and kill him.
Yeah.
Give him the 007 treatment.
And laugh as they scream.
Simon Bisley.
Simon Bisley. I don't know that name.
Doesn't ring a bell. Probably some of the most signature looks on Hellblazer, Judge Dredd, Lobo, Heavy Metal, Batman. Like if you just Google image search him, it's some of the most iconic images. His Batman was so like if you know anything about Lobo and you remember the art from that book, he's got a very I wouldn't say abstract, but it's definitely kind of like a distorted reality kind of view on art. And those Hellblazer color covers kind of reflect the same thing. But for Batman, he gave Batman the super high pointy ears and the very sort of distorted. I would say maybe it influenced Todd McFarlane a little bit.
That's it. I'm going through. If you remember Michael Champion's booth last year at Comicpalooza, the artist we got all those prints from and had signed.
Oh yeah.
He's actually got some old Wolverine ones he's bringing this year.
Nice.
He's got one of the pointy ear Batmans. some old school Hulk. So there's going to be some decent canvas prints that we can probably get done. He frames them and everything, so I may have to get me a few of those.
It seems like you always buy something from that guy.
Oh yeah, just add to the collection. He's added one of those Game of Thrones as well. So
Yeah.
now is usually when I look, because I don't know what he's going to bring with him, and just shoot him an email and tell him what you want.
Yeah.
Did he finish Arya?
Let me check. I didn't see
That
her.
was supposed to be next. We've been asking for that for 2 years now. He's like, it's coming. Because I plan on having most, if not all, of his Game of Thrones. He does really well on them.
Yeah.
I got his Lando last year,
That's
cool.
and I got it signed.
If you ever get to the point where you end up getting all this completed and framed, then we should definitely share some pictures of your loot.
Oh, nice. They have a Sulu one that he's going to be bringing with George Takei.
Oh, I know.
He's got George Takei dancing with her.
What's his site again? Give my free plug.
And I do not see Arya. I had to Google him. It's a WordPress site. So, yeah.
I think maybe the if you could somehow find one of the gold uniform like jerseys, you could do it like a sports kind of thing, like get George Takei to sign up, like just frame it on the wall.
Nice.
Go down the line, you're like Gretzky, Olajuwon, Takei.
That would be pretty funny, actually. Yeah. That would be very entertaining. We also do a Kevin Smith hockey jersey.
Oh, that's too easy. That's too easy. When did Star Trek start? That could be impressive. There's not enough runtime to do it, but that would be kind of cool to get like a football jersey done and have it like with the friggin' like gold velour and the number on the back of the jerseys, like the year Star Trek started.
You can actually order most jerseys from team shops and have them shipped in less than a week.
Really?
You just have to find the right color combination. You're probably going to have more success going football than anything else with that.
Yeah, it's kind of close to the Saints.
Yeah.
You do like
And
the
they
gold.
probably have an alternate jersey that they have a different color besides black on their
Yeah.
gold, and that would be pretty cool. It'd be definitely one of a kind.
Yeah. I like that idea. Probably should have mentioned it. Who else? Comicpalooza. Top Cow. Seems like they're going to have a pretty big presence. They're one of the image studios there. Matt Hawkins, president of Top Cow and creator of a lot of different properties for Top Cow. He'll be there. I mean, the image group always had at least 20 new books coming out every month for like the first 3 years of their existence. And so many of them were like short runs, and Matt Hawkins had several of those properties come out, only to eventually rise to being the president of Top Cow. And the last one I'm kind of looking forward to. I mean, still this is early. Still have 2 months to get guests in. The Comic Book Legal Defense Fund will be there. We'll have representation there.
I was wondering what that was. I was like some cheesy lawyer just put his name on the list.
So the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, that group goes back to pretty much the beginning of the independent movement. So a lot of those guys that were getting sort of bullied around in the industry, having a lot of legal issues, just copyright trolls and all sorts of other stuff. These guys sort of set up to become, long before Kickstarter was a thing, there was always an ad like in the back of Wizard magazine to donate to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and these guys would put up the money for lawyers and everything like that to help keep these guys in business.
It's kind of cool.
So for a lot of them, Stan, I think his name's Stan Tucci, like a lot of those guys that had like, very small run books, Valiant Comics, all those independent publishers. We had one in Houston that had a book called Archangels that I think got some help from them. But they go a long way back and they do good work. I mean, it's to this day they're still fighting for independent creators and keeping them out of trouble.
So what do you get signed by them?
Not getting anything signed by them, but I figured it would make for a very interesting panel if they're actually going to have one.
Yeah, that could be. They have a lot of good stories. I would imagine they get to deal with a lot of people. So
yeah, and just giving you insight on how to navigate, copyright in general. Why you would see books just disappear overnight, and then this is before internet. You wouldn't hear about them.
Yeah.
They may get a blurb about it in Wizard magazine because that was like pretty much the only outlet for it. But having to hunt down and find like one paragraph to figure out like why this book you just got started on is gone.
it'd be really good with all the new comic book writers and people who are interested in joining. They probably have a lot of good information, a lot of advice.
Yeah, because Houston has a large artist presence anyway.
Yeah. I've got a number of friends that are each working on independent projects for comic books. Don't know how serious all of them are. They talk about it often enough to you'd think so, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Think about what we're doing right now. We're recording a podcast.
Yeah.
Didn't have to get anyone's permission to do it. You download software, you get mics in front of your face, and you just do whatever you want to do. So if you've got a decent color printer, or even a black and white printer, you've got a comic book.
A decent color printer. Early.
Or even then just a website, a webcomic.
Yeah.
I still see webcomics have a pretty huge following.
Yeah, definitely. And we have them to thank.
So that's pretty much all there is to cover for Comicpalooza now. Aside from, I hope there's good panels. I hope we get a lot more creators coming.
I didn't see anything as far as gaming, tabletop, card games, anything. I know a couple years ago they did a Platinum 1K tournament. They didn't do anything last year. I mean, the game rooms, there were people on there playing, but I didn't see a huge game presence at this particular con.
Yeah, I'm hoping to explore more of the environment around there, because it was kind of a cool little. I mean, it was my first time back at we have yet to do a podcast about that, kind of going over how you guys got me back into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But seeing how things go down, like independently of the show, independently of any of the guests there, any of the attractions, any of the panels, you have all these fans that kind of just end up having their own show and having their own party. Also, some of the less advertised events, the burlesque show.
That was entertaining.
Was great. It was great. Just hilarious, well put together, all comic book themed, all video game themed, worked perfectly in that setting.
Yeah.
And, they really did their work. I gotta hand it to them, man. That was like a legit show. It was like legit throwback to vaudeville, but with, 80s nostalgia, video games, and comic books and everything else. They did a damn good job on that.
I went in with extremely low expectations for that.
Yeah.
I honestly expected to go in, see a bunch of chubby chicks dancing around and stuff that I didn't care for, but they actually had a decent little line to it. You could follow which game they were kind of paying homage to, and it was very, very entertaining. So I'll hit it up again this year.
I was expecting 15 minutes into you just to be like,
Chunk on the deuce, let's go.
The door.
Well, that was kind of the unfortunate thing. We sat mid-house because we were like, well, at least we'll have good lines to exit when this when this train wreck reveals itself.
We sat down with our exit strategy definitely on the top of our minds.
Yeah, which was too bad too, because the way it wasn't a very elevated stage, it was hard to see some of the subtle bits that were thrown out there. But
so I'm glad I'm tall because I got to see everything.
But yeah, it was a great show, and then kind of we were there one night until very, very late, and to know that kind of the doors are still open. I don't think they ever cleared that thing out because you had that big arcade going on the second floor and parties, a lot of parties going on. And
well, it's such a large venue that the third floor is pretty much gaming usually, and that's where kind of people start to migrate when there's nothing else to do because everything pretty much shuts down between 8 and 10.
Yeah.
So. But, we were there till at least 1 o'clock one night. Luckily, the little smoking section on the second floor wasn't locked out, but we found one. But
that was cool. The night that we stayed for the burlesque show.
Yeah.
We didn't get out of there until, close to 2.
Yeah. I think the burlesque show didn't start till, 10 or 11.
Yeah, it started late.
And they had an intermission. They had to set a few things up.
Yeah.
So it was a late night. Now, I know the year before when we went, they had that Platinum 1K Magic the Gathering tournament going. And it was up there till about 2. So we had ended up just buying a few boxes ourselves and playing till 2 or 4 in the morning. So
as long as there's no other panels and anything to go to, depending on how big the event is, it would be kind of cool to do a draft there or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring a couple of games too, just to have something to do. We played Munchkin a lot at Houston Con.
Oh, my trunk will be full. I have games that I haven't opened up yet that I want to try out. So we had a lot of fun just picking one. Going on a beer run, just sitting there in a game room, So
if we could get enough exposure, man, I really think a Third Coast Nerds hosted Cards Against Humanity would be a lot of fun.
It could be.
Could also be a complete train wreck. We've seen that when we were in Galveston at Space City Con back then. Yeah. There was just one night that we're like, we should just go back to the hotel. Let's just get kind of
if you're doing it, and like you're mentioning it would be a set thing. We were in a hotel lobby. I mean, people were coming just to hang out with celebrities, so there was a lot of extra stuff. But if you do it as, hey guys, this is going to be a recorded game. We're going to have some fun with this, and just like, let's keep the game moving. I think with a little instruction, little direction, it could go pretty well.
Yeah,
we should have.
But I mean, at this point, who doesn't have all the cards memorized? Like, what expansion pack is going to fix that for us?
Well, I have a couple other things from Kickstarter, so like a Will Wheaton package that most people haven't seen.
See, and that would probably be pretty cool if we could find.
So I have a good 20, 25 cards that I've gotten just because I do Kickstarters because I'm like, cards against humanity. I'll have those, no one else will. And we can put our random ones in there. Just sit down and have a day where we fill out the 20 cards each because you have an entire notebook of ones you want to create, right, Jeff?
Yeah. And even now, like, I think it would be pretty killer. I'm going to bring small blank cards. I want to see if I can get a few cards custom made by,
some celebrities.
Yeah, Roddy Piper. I think it'd be kind of entertaining. If only Stanley didn't have like one of the most rushed, overpacked lines. That'd be great.
Yeah, if you're going to go get an autograph from Stanley, have your P's and Q's in order. Yeah. You're going to get about 15 seconds with them, and then you're going to have to move along. So,
but I'm pretty sure, aside from the things he did for the panel, that little convention, I can't remember the name of it. I'm drawing a blank on it, but the convention we went to with Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee,
the Amazing Houston Con.
That was Amazing Houston Con. So for that one, I think, as far as the autograph line, I think I'm the only person that got a Jim Lee sketch. Because it was completely off the wall. So when Jim Lee does these drawing demos, he'll start like drawing random objects. He'll draw like a ball and it'll turn into a foot and all those other things. So he's just doing like a Q&A and just showing his drawing style and kind of demonstrating, how abstract things can become very noticeable things. And one of the things he draws to showcase like shading and light sources and stuff like that, he draws a tin can. But eventually, as he's doing the cross hatching and everything else, he ends up and he's like, well, if you want to do it, you can just draw ears on it, and all of a sudden it's Batman. Huh. So I got in line, and as we're going through there, the little line handler, all these volunteers are way too serious for these conventions. The line handler, I'm asking him, I was like, I'm going to ask Jim Lee for a sketch. And this guy kind of like got a little angry at me. He's like, no sketches. He will not do sketches. Do not ask him that question. Like, got like way serious. Like, do you know him? Do you travel with him? Are you on his payroll? Like, how even tell me like what I can and cannot ask for? So I take my pass out, and all the pass was a piece of like, magazine, like newsprint kind of paper.
Yeah.
Had a blank side on the back of it. I just laid that down along with my books, and I was like, I have a sketch request. And he didn't really look up at me. He just goes like, kind of shakes his head. He's like, I can't do sketches. I was like, it's gonna be very quick. All I want is Batcan. And I got him to look up at me. He looks up at me. He's like, has this confused look on his face, like, what? And I was like, the thing you drew for your drawing demonstration, the tin can with the bat ears, can you just draw that for me? And he tried to keep the facade up, but then just kind of like giggled a little bit and started drawing it. Like, freaking Batcan, yes.
Very nice.
So I walked around for another 2 days with Batcan around my neck, very proudly.
Well, I got the random sketch from Rob.
I hate you so much for that.
It's a beautiful sketch, too.
I hate you. So I had my books ready to go. I had, my original Rob Liefeld books. And I didn't buy the hardcover, the Collected Youngblood hardcover. He, freaking Tiny over here, sets down his Youngblood hardcover, and without even asking for it, even prompting for it, Rob Liefeld starts drawing Badrock on the first blank page of the book. And just starts sketching this. I'm looking at the entire time like, oh man.
Tiny don't even know who he is.
Like, for one, I was like, in the collect, like, you don't even know this guy. You don't even know this guy. I told you about this guy a day ago, and you bought a hardcover.
No, it was like 2 weeks, because I had to use Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I had to use Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that 2 day shipping took 2 weeks now.
To make up for it,
I had a very long list of mine.
To make up for it, you did buy me the print of Deadpool and Boba Fett that he drew, and I had to sign it, so...
He was pretty upset, like he was almost crying. So.
It wasn't crying. It was more like, how do I not rage out in front of the guy that just signed my books? But toured around and could not find another copy of that book anywhere, so had to leave the con without getting that signed.
Yeah, I definitely need to build my list of things. We have 60 days.
Yeah, Twitter, man. Twitter. Follow Comic Palooza on Twitter. They do all their announcements there. They keep everyone abreast of what's going on. Rob Liefeld is probably one of the most entertaining people to follow on Twitter. For the fact that, like, Neil, for the fact that you're an NBA fan, He is a huge basketball freak, comments about it all the time. The Lakers, everything.
He's still commenting on the Lakers even after the season they're having?
Yes.
No, he's dedicated.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining and it's free.
Oh, I did download this Plume application for my Android to start following the Twitters.
Yeah, right on.
But then I didn't remember my password and forgot about it for about 3 weeks.
Mine died, and I actually had to end up loading the native Twitter app to follow it now. Like, Plume just would not... Something about my phone broke, and it wouldn't do it. So
I read a little bit of the twit, but...
It's the S3. I haven't uploaded a custom ROM. I haven't done anything with it since.
Set enough. The number 3.
Soon enough. The Note 4, as long as, they don't make me pay for it.
What provider?
T-Mobile.
I don't know their stuff.
This took a weird tangent. We're talking about phones now. Maybe if Jim Lee comes back, I can take the case off my phone and have him draw on the back cover.
The inside of the front flap. So every time you open your phone, you have a little drawing from him.
Yeah. And I can have the bat phone.
That'd be pretty sweet.
He just draws like the cross hatching in the ears on it.
Nice.
That's good.
So they do have a game list up now for the tabletops.
Oh yeah?
And it's a lot of Star Wars managers, which Garcia will probably be in there. A little bit of Dungeons & Dragons, the cartoon.
Haven't heard of that.
There was a cartoon?
Well, no, it's an RPG apparently. Dungeons & Dragons, the cartoon. I've never heard of it. So there's not any magic. There's no munchkins,
They'll eventually
the big stuff.
Magic just happens anyway. They'll have magic regardless because people will just show up with it.
But they do have listed as one of the panels here Game of Thrones discussion. So depending on who shows up for that could be pretty interesting.
Well, I'm trying to think of who even would be here to discuss Game of Thrones.
And it's probably
just like a fan panel, which you could pretty much raid and be like, I know Miltos, drank with him.
I'd want to bring a couple people that could poke some holes in anything they want to say.
You have to have Kristen come that day,
right?
Yeah. And drag Robert.
We're going to eventually have her on a podcast. I want to have her on a podcast, just me personally, because I'm a big fan of hers. But just to be able to point her somewhere and go tear that guy up, go destroy his theories on this show. I'm a huge fan for that. You've taught her well.
Oh, she's a good troller. So yeah, good fun.
Vicious.
Precious on the research.
So did anyone from Dallas Con going to make you go to back-to-back cons?
Yes.
Who's who you got over there?
Have you made the decision you're going to go to Dallas?
Yeah, I have a few people that want to go as well. I mean, the Firefight class cast that was not there when I decided one week to go.
Wash,
yeah. So with Alan Tudyk, he's doing his new thing, Con Man.
Yeah,
which I'm going to be doing that Kickstarter, Indiegogo, I guess it is. That looks really good, and it has some Doctor Who. So there's all the cute little companions over the last couple of years. So see if I can get a group photo there.
Well, I mean, depending on how it goes and who else they announce, I'll always look for the comic book guests. So if their comic book guests extend and it's not just a TV love fest, then I'll gladly go. But there's a lot of other commitments to money-wise that start to stack up during this whole season.
Yeah, well, I mean, this one's just a big one for me because it's a lot of stuff I can hang on the wall. I got Adam West, Dean Cain, just a lot of different... Yeah. That was my childhood, watching... we didn't have the new Batman. I was watching the old ones with my grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
Dean Cain, that was one of my favorites growing up. So.
Terry Hatcher.
God, yes. And then it has the blonde Supergirl from Smallville, Lauren Vandervoot. I don't know how to say her last name.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask her,
With a name that long, you should ever sign it somewhere.
Yeah. But that's what got me started, man. I don't know. The Adam West thing, like that first or second grade, I had the original Batman series. I had the lunchbox. So for at least 2 months before it broke.
One of the big ones, we were talking about Rob being very entertaining, or like Bill. If you've never met Nathan Fillion or been to one of his panels, it is one of the most entertaining things you're ever gonna see. He's literally every way that you see him online, that's him in real life. Like he's just energetic and fill up a room.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
We were in the cast reunion one. We were pretty far back, and it was just like he carried the entire thing.
Oh yeah, he was 80% of the energy in there.
Yeah,
everyone just hung on every word he said, and he knew it, and he wanted people to hang as long as possible. Yeah. So it made it very entertaining.
Yeah, good deal. But it's the money commitment because I can go down this list right now, like the Hell Comes to Frogtown poster.
Yeah.
I've already scouted that out. It's gonna be about $25. Going like something for the Jeff Smith hardcover I'm looking at is $150. If I don't get the actual slipcase one, that's like $300. Which is really tempting because it's got a documentary in there that I can't find anywhere else.
That's always nice.
So it's like the history of cartoon books, Jeff Smith, the whole background. Like it's a solid, full feature-length documentary. So that looks awesome. I don't know if it's good enough for $150 for a DVD, but considering it doesn't exist anywhere else and Jeff Smith's in town, I may have to go that route. And if I do, there's the ticket for DallasCon. And that's done. I've
pretty much ironed out that I'm not going to go to Dallas. I may send them with money to get a couple of autographs for me.
You know you want to meet Scully.
I do, but back-to-back weekends was rough last year, the year before when we did it. Dallas is the hotel stay, the drive, all that kind of stuff, work the next day or whatnot. So I think I'm going to just, since I spent most of my money going to Dallas or to go to Dallas this September for Supernatural Con, I think I'm only making one trip there this year, so I will be missing out on Dallas Comic Con.
See, I want you to go so I can tell the story of why I couldn't eat nachos for 3 months after that one episode of X-Files. And Neil just made some obligatory comments.
It would be a shame to go to like DallasCon for the X-Files panel and just ask them a bunch of questions about like fire in the sky.
Well, see, that panel
That's something that doesn't have anything to do with X-Files.
I'm going to have to like call Neil on my phone, like FaceTime or whatever the hell it is, and be like, all right, he has a question. Just hold it in front of the
mic. Yeah. FaceTime from Android. What?
I don't know.
It's iPhone, isn't it? Anyway.
I don't know. I don't use the video ones unless it's a hangout. So.
Okay. But yeah, between Jeff Smith, Peter David, Eastman, Simonson, I've already looked up. I found several lots on eBay for the entire collected original first run of Ninja Turtles.
What's that running?
Pretty reasonable, actually. Anywhere from about $150 to $300. Questionable condition, but they're there. It's the entire thing. It's the entire run.
There was one place, and I got a card, and I can't find it. I kicked myself for not finding it. I want to say it was last year at Comic Palooza. There was a comic book store there that was selling cubes, where basically they had taken the first X number of episodes in a certain comic, wrapped it in saran wrap.
Yeah.
And I really wish I would have remembered who that was because I would have ordered them.
I have their business card in my stack of business cards from the last 3 years.
We just don't know which one it is.
Yeah, but yeah,
because I was going to do that with Thor.
I mean, your stack of comic book related business cards can't be too deep. Because it was a comic book shop here in Houston, or I think it was in Humble, wasn't it?
I don't think it was local.
No, this was one of the traveling.
And they didn't have a website.
No, that's they on their card they had an eBay shop.
Okay, yeah.
So, and my stack of business cards from Con is currently like 4 inches. So,
okay. But yeah, there's so I do hardcovers exclusively for signatures, and there's a lot to buy.
Oh yeah, hardcovers are cheap.
Yeah, for Thor, for the Hulk, probably the very early, probably first hardcover collected edition Wolverine for Peter David's run. It's going to get expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. So that's why I'm only doing one of those two. So
and we're still 60 days away.
And we're 60 days away.
There could be a lot more things to buy.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be poor after the mentions.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you've listened to the podcast to this point, God bless you. I think we're going to put this one up as the first one.
Sounds good.
So until Comic Palooza, we'll probably do another little recap before the actual event.
I think we should do a Tapcast before we draft our next Magic.
Yeah, there's a lot of things coming up. So
before or right after?
We'll decide that off the air.
Yeah, because that didn't make this awkward at all. But the suspense, it's a cliffhanger. Let's see what comes up next.
We're going for it. They're going to be like, I don't know. Are they going to post it? You'll never know.
It could happen, or they'll never cancel us.
Oh, yeah, that could happen too.
It definitely happen. All right, until next time, guys.